9. Ignition sequence start. 6, 5, 4, 3, 9. Ignition sequence start. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2.
Welcome to reality.
Hey, what's up everybody? John the Morgile here, gonna do a response to Jaren's Please Explain It To Me video. So hopefully we can clear a few things up in globe earth logic or flat earth logic and see which prevails.
What's going on, everyone? It's Jeranism, back with another video for you today. It's time to try a new approach. When this all began, well over a year ago, I had questions concerning the world in which we live. I asked them in some early videos and basically received no answers, or not answers that really satisfied my search for truth. I got a ton of hate. I got called names. My wife got called names. I got called a liar, a thief, a scam artist, a fool, etc., and so on and so on. Naturally, I saw the lack of actual evidence or any decent answers as a sign that there was no answer.
First of all, it sort of goes without saying that that's awful that people would say such things about you and your wife. I've known both of you guys going on almost a year now, and y'all are none of those awful things that were said about you. So I personally have also received some less than nice commentary as well, so don't feel so bad. And in terms of the proofs, yeah, I agree. I've been looking for, spinning spherical Earth proofs for a long time, and it seems like all we ever run into is the opposite of that. But just wanted to interject real quick and let you know that you and Missa are none of those things. And yeah, the proof for the ball is very elusive, isn't it?
And while that still might be the case, I realize that if the question isn't asked the right way, well, one would be a fool or an idiot to expect an answer in a way in which I'd appreciate. So let's try something new and see if it helps, because I've basically given up on all the people that think they're cool when they're the furthest thing from it, from people who think mispronouncing a name are ways to endear themselves to other humans, who cry because some people are making a few $100s on Patreon, from people who want to see more videos, while only desperate little boys and Dungeons & Dragons moderator tag-alongs care at all to see any videos that they put out, as if it's my fault that they are completely unbearable to listen to. So here's my new attempt at seeing if someone out there can have a decent conversation. I have tons of questions, and same as when I started, I'm looking for answers. Many people have filled my comment section with insults and no proof. Straw man arguments are some people's specialty, mixed with ad hominem attacks and constant appeal to authority, bandwagon, you name it. So let's make this simple. Perhaps we can all learn something, and that was my original goal. If all goes well, and someone responds either in video form, which is preferable, or even in written form via email, and I find the answer sufficiently answers my question, I'd be happy to package that video with this one and re-release the video with the question and the answer. And that was the original plan, to get the truth out. Let's begin. Please Explain It To Me, Volume 1. So I have just some simple observations here, 3 or 4, that I would like explained if the Earth is a globe, as we've been taught, and gravity sufficiently explains some of the interactions that happen around us and with the planetary bodies, then these answers should be easy. So I'm looking forward to an answer to them.
Oh, prepare to get pwned, boy. Everybody knows Albert Einstein was the genius of geniuses, and he told us that space and time were a interconnected fabric, and the spherical Earth, there's bingo, the spherical Earth allows us to stick to its rapidly spinning face near the equator because of the theory of gravity as purported by Einstein as a warping of space-time. So everybody knows this because that's what Albert Einstein said. And funnily enough, if you look up at the etymology for the last name Einstein, it literally means or translates to an area surrounded by a stone wall. So Einstein could loosely be translated to an AE flat earth model. What do you know? and he wrote on a chalkboard, E equals mc squared. Don't you know anything about science? I thought you were a scientific person. Yeah, it's a globe, all right. And yeah, gravity works. So let's just see what your questions are. Boy.
All right. So what I've got on the screen now is just a section of the Earth. Let's say that it's flat, or you can say it's curved on a ball. It doesn't matter. And on top of that Earth, we put a huge rock. And by huge, I mean huge, like a 5 mile wide by 5 mile tall rock. So, as high as planes fly. And we take a marble, okay, which is a normal everyday glass marble. And next to the ball, we place it. You tell me what would happen to that marble. It would fall to the ground, correct? That's what I would think. Due to the gravity of the Earth, it's going to pull the marble down to the ground. Now, is this correct that because the Earth is the larger mass, which means it has a far stronger gravitational pull than the 5 mile by 5 mile rock, is it safe to then assume that I am correct in saying that is the reason that the marble falls to the Earth? If not, please show me my error, but hopefully we can agree up to this point at least.
I'll go ahead and play devil's advocate here and, give the conventional answer to that sort of question in terms of, if gravity is supposedly the warping of space and time, then you would expect to see evidence of gravity all over the place, especially with really large, massive objects. But see, according to the conventional wisdom, gravity is the weakest of the natural forces, even though gravity is the very force that supposedly binds planets together and binds planets into their orbit and binds suns into their orbit around the alleged galactic center, and is such a spiral theoretical galaxy such as the Milky Way. So yeah, gravity is the weakest of the natural forces, and yet it's responsible for basically everything that science can't explain. And so you would expect, for example, if you have a really massive, high, dense, or even just a large object, you would expect that to create some degree of gravity. But of course, the conventional answer to that is you have to get to planetary scales in order for gravity to really have an effect. And so, yeah, in terms of why would the marble fall towards the ground instead of sort of slant towards that larger object? Yeah, the conventional answer would be the gravity of the Earth far outweighs the gravity generated by the other object, and so the marble would fall towards the Earth. But of course, you and I both know that that marble is falling due to density and barometric conditions as opposed to typical gravity. But you're just a stupid flat earther for questioning the mainstream narrative on how reality works, because we all know that in order to get gravity, you've got to have a planet-sized object. So I guess maybe Pluto, or maybe a little bit smaller than Pluto. That's probably got gravity. But yeah, a big 5 mile diameter boulder. No, that's not big enough to make gravity. And yet, Cavendish was able to do experiments with gravity with lead balls that were nowhere near that size. So, a little bit of a conundrum there, right? But what do we know? We're just some stupid, science-denying idiot flat earthers, right?
So, if we can agree on that, I'll move on to the Earth and the Moon. And hopefully we can understand that this picture here is the actual distance and size scaled to the Earth and the Moon. Once we've gotten that, let's take a look at this form here. If the previous points were true, then can you please explain, number 1, the Moon remaining in orbit of the Earth, and number 2, that there's no speed difference in the Moon coming and going? So to begin, just like the marble in the previous image, wouldn't the moon work the same way? Meaning when it came around in its orbit of Earth and it got between the sun and the Earth, wouldn't the sun pull it due to its massive gravity pull versus over the Earth? Why does the moon stay in orbit of the Earth if the sun, the stronger body, the stronger mass pulling gravitationally, why wouldn't that pull the moon right out of our orbit? Also, on that same note, if you think about it, when the moon is coming around, say getting close to a new moon, as it's entering its orbits, you can take a look at that pink square down there. Wouldn't the sun be pulling it and therefore the moon be moving faster than when it is coming out of new moon, as you can see by the blue circle there? Wouldn't that make it slower?
You see, this is how this works. We're too stupid to understand orbital relationships, and we're too stupid to understand the mechanisms of the theory of gravity that's never been proven or demonstrated. We're just too stupid to get it. You know, we're supposed to leave that thinking to the theoretical physicists. You know, the guys that get paid tons of money to make stuff up that we later see in science fiction movies. Yeah, those guys. So your point is, isn't it sort of convenient that the gravity of the Earth only affects the moon, and the gravity of the sun only affects the Earth, and the galactic center gravity only affects the sun? I've thought about this a while back and did some animations, and it really, there's certain situations, if you look at like a full, I don't know, like many years in rapid succession in sort of a basic heliocentric model, there's certain alignments and situations where you, for the moon to orbit the Earth the way that they say that it does, at a constant, or basically a constant speed, in an elliptical sort of fashion. But in order for that to work, with the velocity of the Earth in mind, then the moon would have to slow down at times, and it would have to speed up tremendously fast, you know, accelerate tremendously fast at other times, and beat out, you know, the Earth in its orbit around the sun. And so it's just that the whole thing is preposterous. But you do bring up a good point. Why doesn't the you know, the galactic center, which is, you know, such a massively powerful generator of gravity, why doesn't that ever tug on the Earth at all? Under certain alignments, you'd think that we would have some sort of turbulence, or if there were all these gravity waves penetrating and keeping everything sort of in balance, you'd expect periodic interferences in these waves because of all the intersecting, sort of conflicting generators of gravity in a theoretical galaxy. It's all very nice and neat mathematically and in theory, this whole heliocentric thing, but when you really do start to scrutinize it, well, that makes you an idiot, right? Because everybody knows the Earth is a spinning globe, because that's what it says in the science books, and how could all the scientists be wrong? Obviously the Earth is a spinning globe, obviously, because gravity, you know, it only affects things that are convenient to the theory of heliocentrism. That's your answer. So gravity is just this convenient go-to.
Everyone, it's Jeranism, back with another video for you today. It's time to try a new approach. When this all began, well over a year ago, I had questions concerning the world in which we live. I asked them in some early videos and basically received no answers, or not answers that really satisfied my search for truth. I got a ton of hate. I got called names. My wife got called names. I got called a liar, a thief, a scam artist, a fool, etc., etc., and so on and so on. Naturally, I
as well, so don't feel so bad. And in terms of the proofs, yeah, I agree. I've been looking for, spinning spherical Earth proofs for a long time, and it seems like all we ever run into is the opposite of that. But just wanted to interject real quick and let you know that you and Missa are none of those things. And yeah, the
saw the lack of actual evidence or any decent answers as a sign that there was no answer.
First of all, it sort of goes without saying that that's awful that people would say such things about you and your wife. I've known both of you guys going on almost a year now, and y'all are none of those awful things that were said about you. So I personally have also received some less than nice commentary.
Nine. Ignition sequence start. 6, 5, 4, 3, 9. Ignition sequence start. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2.
Welcome to reality.
Hey, what's up, everybody? John the Morgile here. Gonna do a response to Jaren's "Please Explain It to Me" video. So hopefully we can clear a few things up in globe Earth logic or flat Earth logic and see which prevails.
What's going on?